That is the closest thing to a working man's tourbillon there will ever be. But for the most part, they still kind of do exist under the radar.
Totally. Vintage Patek Philippe 3448. So this is the Padellone. Let's talk about some of these new arrivals. First up, I want to go ahead and talk about this gorgeous Blancpain Leman Turb. So this is a really interesting limited edition. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Rob so that he can get the close-up cam working.
Can't believe you didn't wind this.
I didn't want the hands moving around. I had it all set to 10-10 and it just got all out of whack.
Moving,
all right, well, Robert, my assistant, will wind the watch and show you guys the turb moving. So anyways, Leman Turb, it's a reference 2125M, and this is actually, it's a limited edition of 18 pieces, and it's from what they called the Desert Storm collection. I've tried to do so much research on that collection to figure out exactly what it was made up of, the other models, what the real backstory of why Blancpain, a Swiss company, made a collection of watches to honor / celebrate Desert Storm. I don't know what the hell was going on. But anyways, this is a 38mm stainless steel Blancpain Leman case on a bracelet with a tourbillon. So you get an automatic 8-day movement.
8 days, and it's that thick.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I don't know how they did it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, Blancpain, I generally don't like their bracelet watches. For whatever reason, they usually feel a little bit clunky. The case itself is too thick paired with that larger linked bracelet. But this one at 38 mil and how thin it is, it wears like ridiculously well.
No, this is the X71 bracelet. This is one of the best bracelets that has ever been made.
It's a pain in the neck to size.
It is, but it's solid as a rock. It's very comfortable. It does not pull hairs.
No,
for those of you who might have that issue. And the other thing, like, if you talk, this is, a version of the watch that Albert wears every day.
Yes.
And one of his favorite parts about it, and this is great, is that you see that power reserve at the bottom showing the 8 days. Each turn of that crown is 1 day.
Yeah.
So in a dozen cranks, this thing is fully wound, and that's it. Like,
well, that's the crazy thing is that, like, a normal watch with an 8-day or a much smaller power reserve, you're winding it 40, 50, sometimes even 60 times to get 40 hours.
It's my one complaint with a Longa 1 is it has a 3-day movement, but you spend 3 days winding it.
But this, I mean, you can see from these close-ups and everything that has a nice black dial. It's a military dial, so you have that like hyper legible Arabic numerals with all the lume. But then here I was going to say this movement shot, that rotor, the decoration, like, it is gorgeous. It's such an interesting mix of like this really rugged kind of overbuilt sport watch paired with this beautifully decorated 8-day movement, a giant tourbillon aperture up at 12 o'clock. Like, I love this watch, and they're not that expensive.
It's a steel tourbillon with a screw-down crown.
Right.
Like, that is the closest thing to a working man's tourbillon there will ever be.
That's a hilarious statement, by the way.
It's
a
legit.
Working man's tourbillon.
It's true, though. That's why you can wear this watch on the daily. We know a guy who does.
That's true. But yes. Okay, yeah. Albert wears number 1 of the serial line.
Also, the only manual wind one I've ever seen.
Yeah.
This is not automatic.
Anyways, this killer watch. I'm a huge fan. This is one that every time we get, not necessarily this exact super limited model, but every time we get a steel Leman tourbillon in through the shop, we all gush over it just because, like I said, it's like supremely wearable. It's under the radar. It's super cool. It's got so much like if you know kind of factor.
And 18 pieces.
Right, 18.
That's actually rare.
Yes.
Rare gets thrown around a lot in the watch world. That's actually rare.
So that one's going to be hitting our website probably next week, so keep an eye out for that. That one, I'll be really sad to see that one go, but somebody else needs to buy it so I don't do something stupid.
I've actually picked a brand that we've started to see a lot more from recently, and I think, I don't want to say they're underrated because there is a lot of good buzz about Chopard, but for the most part, they still kind of do exist under the radar.
Totally.
And this one, similar to your watch, this is also a very limited edition. This is a killer Chopard LUC that they made 25 examples of.
And this is what, the 1860 XPS, I think,
Correct.
is like the model family.
This is in white gold with this beautiful green guilloche dial. I love
that wave pattern is so cool.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
And then I love the symmetry and the balance you get with putting the date at 6 o'clock like that. Super nice, very well finished. You look on the back and you see a matching wave pattern on the case back, but the best part is that this 18K case back opens up
Boing.
to reveal the LUC caliber, which obviously is the star of the show.
This is like
here.
the best of both worlds because it would be an absolute crime if this had a closed case back and you weren't able
if you
to
couldn't
see
show that
micro rotor LUC movement. But at the same time, also it would be such a shame if it didn't have like that. The decoration on that case back is nuts. I've never seen a guilloche pattern like that. Super, super cool. How many of these did they make, Rob?
25.
25.
It was a limited edition actually with Hodinkee.
Right.
And it's funny because I don't remember this one.
I don't either.
So I don't think they made a lot of waves when this one was released. But it...
Was it recent?
They did a lot of like quiet limited editions. Like the Ferrier was like that too. They did that Ferrier LE that was very quiet. And like most people didn't even know they released it. They made, again, a very small number of them. They got sold to like, you know, very fast customers, I guess, or like friends and family almost kind of thing. And then that was it. And like nobody knew about it unless you had one.
I mean, Chopard is like, especially the LUC line is super interesting because people that love, like you're either a super fan and you love the LUC,
or you've never heard of it.
Or you've never heard of it. Exactly. Like there's no in between.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily know why. And I guess it is, Chopard in and of itself is a little bit of a niche brand that if you're not, deep in the watch world, you might not know of, might not be familiar with their products.
But then if you have an original, like 1.96 LUC movement watch, those collectors hunt them down and they pay good money for those watches because you can't find them, they don't come up, and they're very collectible.
It's funny because
very cool pieces.
I really like the direction that Chopard has gone with the LUC line because, like Rob was saying, those earlier pieces, if you look at them, it's all about the movement in that watch. Yeah. Everything else from the case to the dial to the handset, it's very pedestrian and it's well made, it's well finished, but I don't necessarily, there's no hint of how special the watch actually is.
To me, it's actually better that they did that.
Yeah, but you're
because
boring,
there is beauty in elegance, and there is beauty in simplicity, and they don't need to overcomplicate it. Even this,
you don't need to make
if you're just looking at the front of this watch, it's not the most elaborate case we've ever seen. It's like a Calatrava case.
What are you talking about, though? Look at the dial, dude. Like, it's green with
There's a lot on this dial.
Engraving.
But the case doesn't have to be crazy. The back is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, like Justin was saying, that almost steals the show. But then the fact that you can push the crown.
But that's my point, though, is that I like what Chopard has done with the LUC line because they've basically married, like, this watch is still not shouty. It's still not in your face.
Oh no!
It's still super elegant, super restrained, and super special. But now you're getting a little bit like you're getting that like visual aesthetic, like pizzazz and draw, paired with the super beautifully finished and well made movement as well. So I don't know. It still feels like it has like the same ethos as the original. It's just a little bit more interesting now.
It is.
It's a little less boring.
It is. And like you say, they're doing the best of like honoring the past and bringing it forward. Yes. I agree. That's why I picked it. I think it's stellar.
Nice.
I imagine it won't be here for very long.
Yeah,
shouldn't be.
That one's live on the site for $31,500 right now. So go ahead and you can get all the details, photos, etc. on our website. That's a good one. I really like that watch.
Okay, your turn.
Next up, another one that's not quite on the site yet, but it's coming soon. Vintage Patek Philippe 3448. So this is the Padellone. So if you are familiar, and Rob...
Isn't that an Italian dessert?
Nope, I'll get to that. It actually, it's Italian for frying pan. So if you know anything about, Patek perpetuals or, the 3448 in particular. The 3448 has the distinction of being the first serial-produced automatic perpetual calendar wristwatch. This uses the caliber 27460Q, which has a 38-hour power reserve. And it's kind of crazy because, like, looking at it, it looks larger. But this is just a 37.5 millimeter case, which, you know, for the time when it was introduced in, I think it was 1962, that was pretty oversized, actually.
Well, the reference 96 was 30.5 millimeters, right? So the standard Calatrava was significantly smaller than this watch.
Right. So when this was introduced, it really, you know, in 62, like, it really did look like a spaceship.
Oh, that is so perfect.
This is one of my favorite all-time favorite vintage Patek references. So, like I said, 37.5 millimeter case. You know, this was yeah, I know.
So
I keep on getting distracted by looking at it in the monitor. Like, it's so beautiful. So super clean dial design. You know, so you obviously get day, date, month, moon phase, and it's interesting that it's, you know, this is almost a 65-year-old. Well, this one's from 75, but you know, the model was introduced in 1962, so it's going on 65 years old.
That's really funny.
But this design still feels so modern to me, and you know, not just because Patek has kind of gone back to, you know, with like the inline perpetual and some of the other you know, pieces that they've come out with recently. I feel like they really echo some of this design language, but this really does feel like an incredibly modern design still, even though it's, like I said, you know, damn near 65 years old at this point. So,
I love the typefaces.
Yeah.
I love the way this dial is printed. There's like, it's not perfect.
No.
Right? And there's such a beauty and a charm in the kind of old school manufacturing that went into this watch. I even love it on this small scale strap. Like on anything else, we'd look at that strap and be like, oh, that's ugly. But it looks really good on this watch.
You're right, actually. That's funny. I didn't even think about that, but this is probably one of the only watches that I've seen this small scale pattern on. And I'm like, it's not the first thing that jumps out at me, because usually when I see that strap, I'm instantly like, oh my God,
why is that on that watch?
What is happening? But so going back to kind of what you were saying about, you know, how incredibly beautiful the case is and everything. So this was, the case was actually made by Antoine Gerlach, who was, you know, like legendary Geneva-based case maker that Patek worked with regularly. Little fun fact that I probably should have known but didn't know. If you look at the hallmarks and on the inside of the case back, the case maker's hallmark is the key with the 4 in it. That all cases made by Gerlach have that hallmark. The key with the 4. Cool. Super interesting. I don't know if anybody else cares, but
it's such a different era of watchmaking. I feel like this is almost like when you buy a car that's coach built. Right?
Totally,
like when you have like a coach-built car, classic car. It's like when you have these, like same thing with the repeaters, right? Because there's the repeaters that have those unique built cases, and then we have something I'm going to talk about later that had unique built cases. And to me, that is something that's missing from modern watchmaking.
Totally, yeah.
Like it really,
outside of maybe like Independence or something. You know what I mean? But
I mean, even then, what do you get? You get like Grubel with the like bumps coming off the side of the case, and you get, you know, a lot of them I think are different though, because those are like cases that serve some kind of purpose of the way the watch tells the time. Whereas in something like this, or you know, if you think about Cartier, you know, from that same era, like that was like case for the sake of case.
Totally,
I like that.
And
anyway.
And like you're saying too, like this is such a unique design for that time. I can't think of anything else that had lugs that were that faceted, you know, that angular, you know, with that almost like a slab side with that big thick bezel. So just absolutely stunning. They're also super rare. So the watch was made for 19 years, so from 62 to 81. Less than 1,000 in total were made.
Wow.
Majority in yellow, about a third I think in rose gold, and then there are 2 in platinum, which are just insane. And this one actually even comes with its original 1975 Patek box, which is wild. I had never seen this style Patek box until this one came in. So I love it. 3448. That's another one coming to our website soon. So definitely keep an eye on it.
Open that up again. Look at that, man.
So
that is
cool.
70s. The watch is not 70s.
Yeah.
That is 70s.
I know, right?
there,
So
dude.
1975, so totally tracks, but yeah, unbelievable. I love it so much. So
good call.
yeah. All right, Rob. What do you got?
So,
What's next?
Now, for something completely different,
Yes.
Justin, which way is the beach? It's this way. This is another one of those watches where until one of these showed up, I didn't know this existed. There's, a lot of people know about the Beach Daytona, which was a Daytona that looked very similar to this in a white gold case, but on a matching lizard strap. So in this case, it would have the green lizard strap.
Well, you
on
had
it.
the blue, the yellow, the pink, and the green.
And the green.
Right,
that was the four, and they came with matching boxes, and it was really very cool.
It wasn't just boxes, Rob. That came with matching lizard box,
Yeah.
matching lizard notebook, you could put
Right.
loose leaf paper in there and
The
everything. It
steno
was like
pad
a
and
whole
stuff.
set. It was ridiculous.
Oh, the white gold feels so good. It's so heavy. So those were released in 2000, and it was, as Rolex typically does, it was a limited edition in that they didn't make a ton of them, but it was just regular production for them. It was just like, we're making this for now, and then they discontinued it a few years later. And then these started popping up later on.
Yeah.
And this does have the chrysoprase dial, which is a gemstone. And so it is a precious stone dial.
What is it?
Chrysoprase.
Chrysoprase?
Yes, that is the material of this dial. It is a stone dial, so it's almost like a Stella Daytona, if you will, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And what's cool about this is from 2011. So this is later than that production, but this watch has been factory confirmed as born on the bracelet with this dial. This is not a put-together watch.
Well, I remember when we first saw this watch, we had to do a lot of research because we initially thought, oh, it's a Beach that someone added a later white gold.
Or they took a white gold Daytona and found a dial or something.
Yeah, so we because again, this was another one that, like we mentioned at the top, we didn't even know existed in this particular format. And then, like Rob said, through Rolex directly, direct confirmation that this was born from the factory with this dial on this bracelet in 2011, which is wild.
To me, the cool thing is to wonder, why did they make this? Did they have extra dials and they were just like, well, I guess we'll make a few this year? Or was there a client who was heavy enough where they made it for him?
Yeah.
That's the stuff you'll never know, because Rolex doesn't have those kind of records, because they're a bigger production company than Patek or Longa or any of these that are on the table.
It's also
here.
funny because we talk about Rolex in the 60s, 70s, even into the 80s and 90s a little bit, where when they were moving between either movements, moving on to the next one, or dials or whatever, there were always these funky little transitionary periods where they would use the new movement in the old case, like 3186 and instead of the 3185, or they would use the new style dial, but there are all these little wrinkles and stuff where they would do that, and then but we always talk about quote unquote modern Rolex as being a company that would never do something like that.
Right.
But then we always find these little things that, for whatever reason, exist and were created.
And that's why if you're a vintage Rolex collector, there's so much nuance there.
Right.
Right. There's so much nuance to it. And I think that's what makes it exciting. No two watches are going to be the same. So that's why I thought it'd be cool to highlight that, because I'm not the biggest Daytona guy in the world. That's a
That one though, dude. Could you imagine if we found the pink one
Oh
with the
my
white gold
goodness.
bracelet? Rob's head would explode. He would sell one of his children to get one of them.
Or at least lease them.
You
can
lease?
do that, right?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Kid lease, whatever.
All right, we're taking up too much time per watch.
Are we really? Okay.
We're gonna have to cook.
All right. Well, so one of mine that got sold that I wanted to talk about but is gone. We had an insane 6263 Big Red Daytona, which personally is one of my favorite expressions of Daytona, if I can say that kind of thing.
I think if you don't think of a Newman when you think of a vintage Daytona,
this is what I think
this is what pops into your head is
Right.
the Big Red with the Bakelite bezel.
Right, so Bakelite bezel, screw down crown and pushers, that reverse panda dial. Obviously, it came, in both standard, silver with black, or this with the black with the white subdials. Which this is the one that I really like gravitate towards and think of.
Yeah, I like the reverse panda.
This is the last of the manual wind Daytonas. This is obviously before they switched over to the El Primero. So
is this 70s?
This one was 76. Yeah, it's a 4.1 mil serial. So this had the Valjoux 727 in it. Just like, again, when I think of vintage Daytona, this is the image that pops into my head even more so than a Newman. I love them. They're out of reach for me at this point. This one was.
I mean, especially an example like this. Look at the lugs on that thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, look at the lume. Like, look at those lume pips and the dial and everything. Like, these are so cool. I love them so much. It's out of reach for me. This was a 6-figure watch, unfortunately. So I'm just gonna, make sure that I right-click and save this video, and I end up just staring at this.
Dial.
Like, yeah.
Man, condition on that one was
nuts. So
nuts.
that's personally one of my favorite Daytonas. Period. So there's that. So
cool.
There you go, Rob. That was my quick little bit on that. What do you got next?
All right, you've picked all the mainstream stuff, which is great. So I'm going to continue to show people interesting stuff.
Oh, get out of here. Oh, I'm sorry that I want to talk about a 3448 and, a Blancpain Turb.
So, talking about art and artistic cases. This is a very early Daniel Roth chronograph. This is the reference 2147, but most people call these the Daniel Roth Lemania chronograph because it has that standard bearer Lemania caliber 2320 in here, which was the chronograph movement of note for years and years and years.
Yeah, it really was.
Right? With the subdials ski line to the center cannon pinion there, which is like the defining hallmark of things like the 5970 and the Patek 5070. Breguet made chronos with this movement. Everybody, Vacheron, the 47101 has this movement in it. And this is cool because this is an early 90s chrono. So this is when Daniel Roth was still the majority shareholder and fully in charge of this brand.
Pre-Bulgari. This is
pre-Bulgari.
Yeah.
So in 94, Daniel Roth sold his majority share to the Hourglass first, before Bulgari, and they took over first. And this predates that as well. So this is like OG Daniel Roth, perfect size. And you can see he worked at Breguet before this.
I mean, it's totally apparent.
Yeah, you can see all those hallmarks of like that heritage of working Breguet in terms of like the beauty of this dial, the blued steel hands, the classic black Romans, a watch that looks best in yellow gold. And you can see how the yellow gold like tinges that dial so that instead of silver, it almost has like a champagne-y kind of warmth to it. I mean,
the movement is stunning.
This is old school, awesome watchmaking, but in a absolutely beautiful case. Like, look at how, even though it's a round movement, it looks like it was made for this case. Like,
it really
he
does.
sized it perfectly.
It's so funny because like when you initially, when got the close up, and I had to I literally had to do a double take there because I was like, wait a minute, it looks like
a shaped movement.
It looks like a shaped movement. It's so weird.
And like the counterbalance on that second hand, that like giant counterbalance.
I mean, honestly, the way that he hit it, I mean, whether it was intentional or not with this case, like this display case back it looks like it is again in the shape of the movement. It's wild. Such a cool watch.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, this is stunning. I really, really like that.
I'm really glad that Daniel Roth has kind of had a little bit of like a resurgence of rebirth, especially these, the early ones. Obviously LVMH owns them now.
Yeah.
They relaunched 2 years ago or whatever with the subscription pieces and whatnot that are absolutely stunning.
I was going to say, I love the treatment they're doing with this brand now.
Yeah.
The fact that it's almost like this bespoke, super small production, unobtainable pieces, like that's so cool. Like, what a cool way to carry on the legacy of this.
Yeah.
Because, if you think about it, like it went through that Hourglass era, it went through the Bulgari era, it kind of like, and now for them to bring it back again and to make really cool pieces again, I think is very cool.
Yeah, but these are really special. So the original, again, early 90s, Daniel Roth, like the Daniel Roths, they're really cool. If you're not familiar with them, you should do a little bit of a deep dive and kind of read up on them because, again.
An amazing watchmaker. An amazing watchmaker and a very cool history to both the man and the brand.
Yep.
So we're way over time.
We are.
I think we got 2 minutes.
Okay.
I think you got to pick between the Ellipse
No.
and the Seamaster.
So one of mine was an Ellipse that got sold. Cool, 5738R, great piece. If I wore tuxes all the time, I would absolutely have one. I kind of still want one anyways. I'd wear it in my underwear. I don't even care. Killer piece, already sold. Robert, next.
I'd wear a tux just to give me an occasion to wear that watch. Like I'd come to work. I still have the tailcoat and the white tie from my orchestra days. I could do it. If anybody wants to donate that watch to the cause,
we'll step brothers it next week, and we'll both wear tuxes for the show.
Tailcoat and white tie.
All right, you got like 2 minutes to talk about this.
This is cool.
This is cool.
This is another one of those, like, didn't know this existed, let alone that there's any floating around out there. This is an Omega Seamaster 300 with a lappy style in an 18K yellow gold case.
Like, this makes no sense. Like, I agree. I'm so glad this exists and it's so cool, but like, what the hell was Omega thinking?
Oh, they were thinking it'd be so cool if we made a lappy style dive watch with a screw down crown, no date, not fouled up by some weird date window at 4:30 or something, right? I mean, how beautiful is this?
I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you. It's so weird. Like, gold Seamaster with a lapis die. I don't know. It's so bonkers. It's so out there, but it is so cool. It really is beautiful.
Man. And like, it's really hard to show without getting like a complete reflection. Maybe we'll go to the B-roll for it. But the dial has so much life and sparkle, and I love like natural material dials. Same thing with the Daytona. Like having these natural material dials to me means that your watch is not going to be the same as anybody else's out there.
Right.
And to me, that's one of those cool little Easter eggs that even if nobody else knows it, who cares? You know it, and it's killer. And I love the fact that this is like the old school, you know, it looks almost like a 60s Seamaster, but, you know.
Oh, you mean like the handset, the printing,
right, the handset
style.
that with the numerals on the quarter hours, like it's just, that's it, man.
Yeah, it's weird. It's super funky. Yeah, I love it too. I think this is only maybe the second or third one that we've ever had. Like,
I've never seen this watch before.
No, we had it. I specifically remember that we had it at least one other time.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. Okay.
I wish I knew how many pieces. Actually, well,
I don't think it was numbered.
It wouldn't have been. If this was actually a limited, like technically a limited edition, Omega would have had it printed all over this case back. You know, the
I don't think
and
it was limited.
So.
I think it was just small production.
So
you know,
funky.
kind of, we've had a couple of things like that from Omega, and again, it goes back to the Daytona, where it's like, here's a very cool, small production, and you'll probably never. It's not. Fine. I don't need to be numbered.
No, I love it. All right, well, we went over. That's okay. Those were our favorite new arrivals from this week. Go ahead and make sure you guys check out all the other really awesome stuff that we've added, because we had a really hard time choosing, you know, just these 8 or whatever, because we got some pretty wild stuff right now. All right, next up, we wanted to go ahead and we're going to make this a little bit of like